Let's move on now to Cairn as well as Vedanta. Cairn India's shareholders will benefit from multiple business matrix of Vedanta. That's the word coming in from Cairn India's CEO Sudhir Mathur. In an exclusive conversation with my colleague Piyush Jain, Mathur believes that the deal takes into account the concerns of the minority shareholders as well. Listen in to what he had to say.
Let me give you a perspective on the offer itself and what it means for Cairn shareholders. Getting into Vedanta is a great opportunity on multiple fronts. One, Cairn shareholders will get access to multiple businesses, commodity businesses strongly linked to India's growth. Their assets, trophy assets, world-class assets, low cost, and much longer life than Cairn assets are. Being a part of the entire story de-risks the earnings for Cairn India shareholders, and that's the most important thing. And you've seen the deal. The deal has 3 more spoons of sugar in it now, and it should be quite appealing to the shareholders of Cairn India, the minority shareholders of Cairn India.
Absolutely, sir. And I assume you already must have had the interactions before actually putting out this offer. So my question to you is, from the last time, do you think that the recovery of the commodity cycle from the lows, the commodity prices, has that helped a lot in turning the sentiments in addition to your sweetening the offer?
Well, the offer is built upon, their, outstanding investment banks and, firms which have been involved in the valuation as well as in the fairness opinion. Besides that, yes, over the last 1 year, we've engaged with shareholders at the Cairn level and have, needless to say, listened to them. I mean, given regulatory issues, we can't obviously get into discussions and alienate, on one-on-one basis and give differential information. But the offer certainly takes into account what we've heard, besides taking into account the change in the commodity prices over the years. You've seen how oil prices have behaved and what impact that, crude prices have had on the Cairn stock. And, on the other hand, we've seen Vedanta, which has had, commodity, gone through the commodity cycle as well. And if you look at where those commodities are, it reflects the differential in pricing.
Surely, sir. So let me touch upon some few more interesting points about the operations, which again contribute value to your entire business. Now, your production sharing contract, the Rajasthan PSC, ONGC has already actually given its approval for the extension to 10 years. What's the status you are seeing in terms of the regulatory approval from the government side? And also, if I look at the ad valorem method revision of the cess calculation, where is actually that at present standing?
Okay. Over the last, let me start by a broader perspective, that over the last 18 months, Cairn management has worked, very hard to develop 4 very large projects, which will be extremely beneficial to Cairn, of course, and to the government of India, and is in line with the PM's vision of increasing production locally. Now, when you look at that, Cairn, as you mentioned rightly, ONGC has given its consent. And the reason for us to, get this PSC extension approval as early as possible is to start making those investments. It is, you would realize from a shareholder perspective that with 2020 just around the corner, we do need clarity to be able to convince our shareholders to go ahead with these investments. Otherwise, because the returns come over a much longer period than over 3-year cycles. And the earlier we get it, it's a win-win-win situation for everybody. Cess and royalty, all these three things put together, it casts, it puts a heavy burden on the operator and the contractors to exploit oil. And the last thing you want to do is, once you found oil, to leave it into the ground. So as you grow, forward into the life of the assets, it's important to balance all fiscal terms with a view that, the economic life of the asset continues to be elongated. And in that context, I think the ministry, we've heard the minister say that many times. I mean, that's, our minister, Mr. Pradhan, constantly, working with, his colleagues in other ministry to say that 20% should be reduced to a level of 8% or 10%.
All right, that was the Cairn India management interacting with Piyush, and obviously in our previous interactions also what the management has yielded is that the risk-adjusted rate of return becomes too unattractive, and so to say in terms of the royalty, in terms of the cess burden also, which the management highlighted, should be ideally at around 8 to 10 odd %, because even that has pressurized the net returns, the net returns on per barrel terms for Cairn this time around, which came in at $38 per barrel. So obviously the royalty, the tax, as well as the cess seems to be a pressure point. Well, we'll take a very quick break right now, but on the other side we talk to the